When was the last time you sat down and defined your symphony of success? I often talk about the symphony of success. What does success sound like to you? Not what success means to me, not what success means to your parents, to your friends, to the system. What does success sound like to you? What is your symphony of success? When you hear successful, living a successful life, what comes to mind? For a musician, it may be really good at playing an instrument. For me, it may be developing a phenomenal business. For an athlete, it may be developing a great athletic career. What is your symphony of success? It really depends on the individual. That's why there's no one spectrum of success. There isn't one number to achieve that defines success. That is my definition of success, but that is for me. Why? Because every person beautifully has been created to have their own specificity. So you have your own dreams, you have your own ambitions, you have your own symphony of success. You need to find that.
Most people don't focus on their mindset. Most people are focused on exterior factors. They think that everything that happens to them is by chance. And they don't realize that a lot of the things that happen to them are things that they attract. Because you attract the things that you are, and you are what you do, and you do what you think about. So it's all a cyclical loop. Mm-hmm. Most people don't understand the power of the mind. That's why they haven't tapped into the power of the mind. And the power of the mind is one very simple thing. The ability to direct your attention towards a specific given objective, and then to have the willpower to pursue it. Most people, obviously, don't know where they're going because they never have a goal. You need to have a clear goal. If you don't have a goal, you don't know where you're going to go in life. If I ask you today, what's your financial goal for this year, for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years? Would you be able to answer? Would you be able to say, yeah, this is my goal? And I'm not talking about how many millions of dollars you want to have. I'm talking about the positioning.
The highest form of vibrational frequency is the vibrational frequency of authenticity. To be the truest form of yourself. The problem is most people are not them. They're shells of the ambitions and the desires of other people. So once you live authentically and in truth, right, which is the key, you elevate yourself to that vibrational frequency where you realize who you actually are, and you don't condition yourself or limit yourself by all the past. And by breaking that illusion, you instantly enter a new paradigm of reality. And I truly believe that you can break that with full confidence right away, because the mind can conquer everything. Belief is a skill. Belief requires so much development, because it's hard to believe things that you can't see. It's hard to believe when you're skinny or overweight that you can have a six-pack and that you can have a crazy physique. It's hard when you're poor to believe that one day you can be rich. It's hard to believe when your mama's working a 9-to-5 or 2 jobs that you can actually retire her in a couple years. It's hard to believe these things. But if you can actually sit there and have a conversation with yourself and believe that all things are possible, then everything is possible. Because like I said, it all starts with the mind, and the mind is the controlling factor of everything. The mind is like the steering wheel of your life. And if you can't take control of your mind, somebody else will control it for you. You need to stop listening to others and start listening to yourself. But the problem is nobody knows how to listen to themselves. They're scrolling on TikTok, music on loud every day, when they're driving, fucking radio turned on, when they're home scrolling on their phones, when they ask for opinions, they ask for opinions from other people. They ain't even asking opinions from themselves. When was the last time you sat down and defined your symphony of success? But if you're in the rat race, it's the same loop and the same shit time and time again, day and day again. No wonder you live a life of misery, because you're not living your fullest potential. You're not living and being and having a life of abundance. You're merely a cog in the machine of life because you have surrendered to the dreams and ambitions of other men. Well, first you need to know what your goal is. Most people walk around with no goals, no ambition. They don't know where they're going. It's like a ship with no destination. If you don't know where you're going, you'll never get there. Once you know where you want to go, then you direct your time, your energy, and your attention to what? To the execution and the achievement of that goal. If you want to make money, you will make money. If you want a good network, you will have a good network. If you want to build a great podcast with great hosts, and great guests. You will build a podcast in that way. It's all about intention. But most people walk around in life thinking that life is just a big fat lottery. And it's just not that case. Those that live by the lottery of life most likely end up losing because you're just gambling. I don't want to gamble with my life. So what I do is I set a goal and then I focus my time, energy, and attention, which truly are the only assets that you have. So when a lot of people come to me, they're like, Luke, I have nothing. Brother, you and I have the same exact thing, time, energy, and attention. But what you use your time for, it doesn't yield a return. What I use my time for yields a return. You get paid in proportion to the difficulty of the problems that you solve. Elon Musk said that once. You get paid in proportion to the difficulty of the problems that you solve. Most people that don't make money, they don't solve problems. They don't spot problems. They don't capitalize on problems. If you solve small problems, you'll get paid very little. The guy flipping the patties, like Tate says, somebody's got to flip the fucking burgers. But they solve very small problems. So they get paid in proportion to what? Solving that problem. You put a man on Mars, you'll get paid in proportion to solving that problem. So you need to focus your time, your energy, and attention to solving big problems. And hopefully your goal is to serve humanity.
Mindset, your ability to develop thoughts, is extremely important because your thoughts dictate and create your reality. Thoughts lead to actions, actions lead to behaviors, and behavior leads to lifestyle.
The best piece of advice that I ever received is that you are what you think about. Everything that you think about, you become. Thoughts lead to actions, actions lead to behaviors, behaviors leads to lifestyle, lifestyle determines your destiny. So everything begins in the mind. If you can control and wield your mind, you can very much determine your destiny. If you can determine that regardless of what your mind says, you will go to the gym, you will develop a physique unlike 99% of society. If you decide to work on your business and you decide and you commit and you determine your mindset and you wield it, you can become successful. If you determine to be a studious individual and knowledgeable, you will be knowledgeable. If you determine to be rich, you'll be rich. Everything is in your control. How is it that I can do all of these things? I'm committed. I'm committed to my goals. I can't cheat myself, bro. I'm done with the bullshit. I'm done with the self-sabotage. Like, dude, I'm here to win, not win against the world. I'm trying to beat myself. I beat myself every day. Conquer, conquer, conquer. Because if you can conquer yourself, you can conquer anyone. Because you're the most difficult enemy you will ever face. If you can conquer self, dude, you can build a multi-billion empire from the ground up. If you can literally commit to developing yourself full time, dude, you can build an empire. What is holding you back? Nothing. Yourself, myself. So we gotta commit and stop like all this. What tactic? Commit, dude. Commit. Get it done. Get it done. If I can do the 1,400 texts with tens of millions of dollars in the bank account, what is holding you back, mother? Broke. Like, all you have to do is show up and commit. And then you refine the strategy. But don't focus on strategy until you're putting in the hours.
What a lot of people don't understand is that life is what you make it, right? So if you live a shitty job, you have a shitty job, you have no money, you have no friends, you have no relationships, no social life, no sexual life, no hobbies, no activities, and you're in your room and you're all depressed. That's your choice, right? Nobody's saying that you can't quit your job. Oh yeah, but I have all these problems. Nobody gives a fuck, bro. The marketplace doesn't give a fuck about your problems. Nobody's forcing you to work the shitty job that you work. Nobody's forcing you to have the shitty life that you have. That's the life that you chose. So if you want a different life, you have to be able to understand that you are in control.
And what I think for young people is never put yourself in a situation where you make irreversible decisions. It's one of the most important principles I learned. So from a young age, I never made decisions or took action towards things that I could not reverse, that would fundamentally change my life path. Like having kids out of wedlock at the age of 17. That fucks up your life. Okay, for some people it's an anomaly and they end up being super successful. But for the average individual, that's an irreversible decision. So what do you do with that irreversible decision? You have to deal with it. So my objective was, don't make irreversible decisions. Make decisions that if anything happens, you can pivot from. So low risk, high reward.
Winners win and losers lose. I want to synthesize this thought so that you can digest it in a very easy way. What do I mean by winners win and losers lose? I get asked this question all the time. I want to share it with you today. Winners are people that everything that they do, all the habits that they instill are the habits of a winner. A winner isn't a final product. A winner is a lifestyle. A winner is a concurrent set of actions that lead you to a final destination. Same way is for losers. Usually losers inhibit behaviors of losing people, who they hang out with, what they eat, what they listen to, what they consume on a regular basis, how they think about themselves, how they view the world. They view everything through the lens of a loser. That's why they are where they are today. So when people come to me and they're like, Luke, why is my life shit? All I have to do is look at your action. How are you operating, dude? Most of you guys are operating at a 2 out of 10 and you're expecting a 10 out of 10 life. It's impossible. You want uphill results with downhill habits. It's not gonna fucking work, dude. You gotta level up. And that means understanding that if you follow a list of successful ingredients, you're going to achieve success. Dude, the blueprint's out here. I'm in fucking Singapore, hanging out with billionaires. You don't think they're going to drop some nuggets of truth and information telling me, hey, this is how the world works. You got to follow this ingredient list. This is what successful people do. Stay away from this bullshit. This is going to make you a loser. The ingredient list is out there. You just got to be paying attention. You don't have to reinvent the fucking wheel. There have been successful people before you. There will be successful people after you. The question is, will you become successful? Will you instill the habits of a winning person? Will you embody the beliefs of a winning individual? Will you cut out the bullshit that makes you a loser? Or are you going to keep consuming and being like, oh, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong is you're wrong. Your life is wrong. Everything you do, when the moment you wake up, you self-sabotage. You're setting yourself up for failure. And then you're asking why you suck at life. You suck at life because everything that you do is sucking and draining you away from your fullest potential. Focus on leveling up, motherfucker. Focus on winning. Every single action, everything that you do, focus on winning. Focus on becoming a champion. And you know what the outcome will be? You will become exactly what you put in. You will become the outcome of your actions. You will become the outcome of your decisions. I'm a winner. And I'm not a winner by what I've achieved. I'm a winner by what I do today. Not what I did yesterday, not by what I do tomorrow, not how you perceive me, but how I perceive myself. Did I cheat myself today? Or did I win? Did I beat myself at this game of life? That's all that matters. I ain't competing with you. I ain't competing with him, with her. I'm competing with myself. Winners win, losers lose. Pick a fucking side and go after it.
Success does not happen overnight. Success is built brick by brick, day by day. Consistency and repetition dictate mastery. If you want to accomplish your dreams, if you want to accomplish your goals, if you want to succeed in life, you need to understand that it is a process. There are recipes to success, there are ingredients, but you cannot rush the process. Many times in life, we try to cut corners, whether it's in school, whether it's in university, whether it's in our exams, at our jobs. But when it comes to self-mastery, when it comes to succeeding, we can't cut corners. We can't take shortcuts, because if we do, then we miss out on growth. And growth is fundamental, and growth is required in order for you to get to the next level in the game. You need to become a better player. You need to become a better individual. You need to become more skilled, more adaptable, and overall master the things in life that are keeping you down. If you're not organized, you need to learn organizational skills. If you're not good with money management, you need to learn finances. If you're not good at marketing, you need to take some classes on digital marketing, Facebook ads, email, SMS. Whatever is your shortcoming, whatever is your failure, whatever is your weakness, you need to work on it. Because there are some skills, there are some traits, there are some things in life that are just simply not worth missing out on. Being a good public speaker, being a good communicator, having the ability to network, having the ability to invest, having the ability to run a business and communicate are things that are undeniably high ROI. Figure out those things. Don't cheat yourself. Don't cut corners. And I promise you, in a few years, you'll be farther ahead than most people will ever imagine. The only way that you succeed is by discipline and mastery over yourself.
And finally, you need to understand that you must be willing to sacrifice who you are today for who you want to become tomorrow. You have to sacrifice who you are today for who you want to become tomorrow. There's a verse in the Bible that says, when I became a man, I put away childish things. You can't become the best version of yourself unless you're willing to neglect who you are today. The bad habits, the bad friendships, bad relationships, the bad ideas, the bad mindset. Because if you want to become a millionaire, if you want to become a person that's successful, if you want to develop a better physique, it will require sacrifice. And if you want to get to the next level, it'll cost you. There is a price to success. It hurts.
To somebody at their lowest moment right now watching this video, what do you say to them?
There's only one way, one direction. If you're at the bottom, there's only one way, but you got to look up. And when you look up, There's somebody there waiting for you. His name is G-O-D. And he's there with a hand, reaching out, waiting for you to take control of your life. Because I learned one very important lesson. Your relationship with God is like that of a captain and a crew member. One rows, the other one steers. But it's very interesting because many times in our life, we want to get confident and cocky and arrogant. And God says, I steer, but I do not row. We need to put in the work and God will guide. And that's the greatest lesson I've learned.